Welcome back to the Athletes Porch. TAP, T-A-P, Athletes Porch, baby. I'm learning a lot here. I'm seeing things pop up on the internet. I can't control that. I'm seeing things pop up on the internet. That's what happens when you're on the porch, baby. You got to deal with it. Can't control it. Articles pop up. We're seeing Roch Cholowsky, UCLA shortstop, projected number one overall pick. MLB just had their winter meetings, and it got me thinking. It's really hard to get drafted. Yeah, I was fortunate to be a 7th round draft pick. I like to joke maybe that I tricked some people. My inner circle knows that I worked really hard to try to get there, but it comes down to how somebody's going to pay a player millions of dollars, or even just giving them the opportunity, right, thousands of dollars, and put their job on the line with their boss in the Major League Baseball, or this could even be a recruiting coordinator in college who says, I like this player, let's give him full scholarship, let's give him 25% scholarship, let's give him $5,000, let's give him $500,000. It doesn't matter. You're still putting your job on the line for this player. And what we're going to break down today is the character piece of it, because the answers are out there for us. I like to say, success leaves clues, right? But we have to pay attention to it. And David Senra, Founders Podcast, who breaks down entrepreneurs, the great entrepreneurs out there, love his style, love his content, he says, learning is not memorization. Learning is changing your behavior. What this allows me to do is break down information and apply it with the athletes I work with and apply it to my own life. And we're going to dive into Cholowsky and why he's projected number one overall draft pick. We're going to talk about some other players I've coached, whether I was at Stanford, Santa Clara, and tie in Tom Brady, Tebow. Let's start with this, is the best careers, the superstars, there's typically, yes, the talent, no doubt about it, but there's the makeup piece of it. The franchise guy, Curry, since it's relevant on our topic, he's the franchise guy. They're going to pay him extra because he's got that character and he can be that face. I am a fan of Derek Jeter, the face of New York, okay? He does things right. But when scouts want to evaluate talent, it's easy. You go out there and you watch a potential draft pick and you see all the scouts in the stands. That's easy. The guy throws 95. The guy's hit 12 homers last year. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, are you going to pick him or not? Put your stones on the table. Like, are you going to pick that guy and give him $1 million or not? And what does it come down to? What's going to help make their decision easier? It's the character. It's the makeup. It's why the scouts get to the field several hours before to see maybe when that guy shows up for practice, to see how he interacts with his teammates, to see how his body language is in a simple drill on the field, to see how he takes batting practice, to see his response during any type of situation. They need to see anything and everything. And then the scouts will meet with them off the field maybe a couple times. They want to get to know the human, the individual. And we'll break that down a little bit more about tying in the person. Look at Roch Cholowsky and his journey and his makeup, and I'm gathering this from a couple videos, and I'm gathering this from a couple articles, a few quotes that I wanted to share with you. And this goes back to high school, and he says, my parents always kept me in multi-sports. Whatever was in season, I was playing. And he says in high school, he's like, football helped me athletically and also as a leader, knowing that as a team we had to be connected. He goes on to saying and touching about his time at UCLA is his freshman class is very connected. And when he goes into more depth of that, he says that the teammates that I came into UCLA with, those guys will be in my wedding one day. Those guys in 20 years will be planning golf trips. None of us left UCLA after our first year. We all stuck around, which is rare, okay? And you know me, I'm always saying about your recruiting experience it's about the people. It's about the relationship. Nobody's going to care in 10 years, in 5 years, what you hit or if you were an All-American. They're going to care how you treated them. And to have the most respect within your team, you have to be able to do things the right way. And that's what we're circling up with here with Cholowsky, and I'll get into some more examples from it. Playing in the Big Ten, playing against competition, good competition, has allowed him to elevate his game, forces him to elevate his game so he can separate. He's recognizing what the talent level is like and saying, this is where it's at. The standard is really high, and I need to keep working and I need to elevate my game. And just the other day, I posted about my manifestation of when I was in high school, and I'm not, do not think I'm comparing myself to Cholowsky, zero chance here, is that guy would run rings around me. He did play the same position though. And when I was in high school on Friday nights, I lived close to Stanford's campus. I would drive up on Friday nights to watch Stanford take infield, outfield in a few innings of the game. And as I was watching infield, outfield, and there's 0 people in the stands, I would be thinking to myself, can I play here? This is what it's supposed to look like at a high level. Where am I at? Here's the gap. This is where I'm at, and I got to shrink that gap. And it allows me to visually see what I need to continue to work on. And it pushed my drive and pushed the details within it. And Cholowsky talks about his vision board. And last year at the College World Series, it came out, hey, I heard you're into manifestation, heard you're into vision board, and they showed a picture of his room. Had more individual stat goals on the left side, had more team-oriented individual goals on the right side. He's like, I put it down on paper, something I started my senior year, and I've continued to do that. And this is no surprise about writing things down. It's why I'm so big into the journaling aspect of it, is that there's studies out there, and I'll put the study link in the bio, that 42% more likely to execute your goals, your manifestations, whatever it may be, if you just write it down and you put it in a place where you could see it and reflect on it and remind yourself of what you have to do and the steps it's going to take to get there. And that right there is gold in itself. It's everybody, hey, what are your goals? Write them down. This was me. Write them down. Write them down. Okay, great. Fold them up. Put them down in your drawer. You never revisit it, because when shit starts to hit the fan, you're like, oh, those goals aren't attainable anymore. Well, what's your process towards those goals? What are the steps you need to take daily to reach those goals? Some goals are uncontrollable. When I'm talking to my athletes and we start to do goal setting and manifestations, it's, don't give me something that's uncontrollable. I don't necessarily believe in setting a goal to hit 400, because you could just rail baseballs all day long and all of a sudden you're not hitting 400. So where do you feel like you're at? Is that a failure? No. Okay, that's just my angle of it, how I like to approach it. I'm about the process. When Cholowsky talks about going to Omaha last year with UCLA and winning a game, he said, our team has won a game. We know what it feels like. We have to raise the bar and raise the standard. And this reminds me of Tim Tebow, back when he gave his I Promise speech post-loss to Ole Miss in 2008. His junior year, he just won the Heisman the year before, and they wanted to have a essentially undefeated season and be national champs. That was their goal, right? They were open to it. They trained extra hard because they had the taste. Very similar to Cholowsky and UCLA here. But Tebow said after a tough loss to Ole Miss early on, I think the second week of the season in 2008, he said, came out very emotional in the press conference. He said, you will never see a player push his team harder than I will the rest of the season. And he held accountability for the loss, and he said, I'm going to hold my teammates accountable. And then he went into the locker room, and I took this from Tebow's book that he wrote years ago that talked about his career at Florida, and it breaks down each year and the success that they had and what they learned, and it's an easy read. But that year, after that loss, they just went on a steamroll, and they cruised, and they dominated, and they had that high standard, and they won that national championship. So leadership is about bringing people up with you, and about raising the standard and being open about it. You just can't write it on the wall one time and say, oh, it's going to happen, kapoosh, magic. No. And let's think about the growth here within this. Cholowsky hasn't always been the best player. Well, surprise, surprise, Tom Brady, remember him? When he was the last pick of the draft. Do you remember him when he went to Michigan and he was the 5th string quarterback? Do you remember him when he got drafted by the the Patriots as that last pick in the draft, and he sat behind Drew Bledsoe and watched. You remember the story of Kyle Stowers that I coached for one season at Stanford, who hit 108 his freshman year and 50-plus at-bats, and then went on to be a first-round supplemental pick with the Orioles, up and down first few years, failed a lot, and then got an opportunity with the Marlins. And this past year, he was in the home run derby and he was an All-Star. How sick is that? Would you trade a rough freshman year or not playing a freshman year to have more success down the road? That's delayed gratification. That's believing in yourself. That's believing in your process. That's the growth mindset. Christian McCaffrey just came out last week saying, hey, my dad, when I was up until 8th grade, he made us be in bed by 7:30 p.m. What? Serious? Holy smokes. Would you trade no sleepovers, no video games, no extracurricular activities past dinner to be one of the best NFL players out there? Hell yeah, I would. There's sacrifice in being great. No doubt about it. There's also failure that you have to go through to grow. Steph Curry, just the other episode 1 in Tap, he says, success has failure wrapped up all around it. The best ones fail the most. That's what we have to accept. That's what we have to go through. And so we tie this into the scouts. The scouts want to see you fail. The scouts want to see the adversity in your life. They're going to meet with you. They're going to have the questions. They're going to want to know when you're out on the bus in the middle of nowhere playing baseball in front of just a couple thousand people, and you're on your biggest skid of your life, and you're missing home, and you don't have your boys around with you or your parents to be at the game and cheer you on. How are you going to respond? It's about the response. They need to know what you're like behind the scenes. And here's a great example of this is Skylar Hales. Coach Skylar Hales. I recruited Skylar Hales, was part of that recruiting process, comes from Reno High School in Nevada. His coach calls me. He says, hey, this kid is off the chart makeup-wise. You're going to want this kid in your program. Comes to so on and so forth, offer him a scholarship. He comes as a two-way, throwing a bunch of strikes, as 6'4". This kid's a Greek god. And he ends up pumping 100 miles an hour, and he's moving up the system. But his scout that drafted him, Gabe Sandy, he says, this is a conversation, but he's open about it. And he says, yeah, the talent's there, but holy smokes, the makeup. I've seen this guy early and late after games pick up trash, help carry water coolers, help pick up teammates. And that's what the scouts want to know. And if you're looking to get drafted, if you're looking to kind of understand that process, are you reliable? Are you a good teammate? How are you going to handle adversity? Are you accountable? Just like Mike Scioscia, who used to be the Angels head coach in the major leagues when I was in the minor league system, he would ask his minor league coaches about the players. He would say, can I trust him and can I win with him? And that's a big component. Can I trust a person? Can I trust that? That's no different than former players who ask, hey, JK, can I put you on my resume as a reference? And then I get a call from his potential future boss asking me what type of person he is. They don't care about your stats the last few years. They want to know what type of character you have. When you failed, how did you respond? How are you in the locker room? Because it's about the people. It's no different. Warren Buffett, the OG investor, billionaire, who said in the last shareholder letter, he talked about people and behavior and essentially habits. And he said, the cleaning lady, I want to get this right. The cleaning lady is as much a human being as the chairman. Kindness is costless, but priceless. It's about how you treat people. People want to be around great people. Act like the 5 people you hang around with, and I'll show you your future. No different. Roch Cholowsky, if we zoom in on this picture right here, Roch Cholowsky has a little letter on the left, top left, that's from his mom. If you zoomed in, here it is. It says, keep your circle small. Because when in his situation, probably everybody wants to be a piece of it. But you got to have narrow blinders on here about what you want. And I think that's great advice. If you're in high school and you're thinking about how can I do this? How can I have character? How can, one thing that I did when I was a recruiting coordinator, and, you look at websites like Prep Baseball Report, they do at their showcase, they do a visual edge training, and essentially cognitive thinking, some reactionary skills in there. I would look at that. Oftentimes I'm ranking who did really well, and I'm trying to pair up and match, because you're trying to get the total package, and it's really hard. And one thing I took really good pride in, and I wasn't always the best, okay, but when I would recruit a player, I would want to know that he would check the box character-wise, because if I missed on him talent-wise and I projected him wrong, what type of kid was showing up every single day when he wasn't playing? Once again, I was wrong a lot. I was also right a lot on that compartment, because you want to be around good people. So if you noticed, I haven't talked about any type of stats. Those stats take care of themselves with the scouts and the recruiting side of it. That's the easy part. The hardest part is, can I trust him? Is he reliable? How is he going to be when he fails? The character piece. And that oftentimes goes to mom and dad. Absolutely. And so as a parent, continue to build that strong foundational child who's resilient, and when adversity strikes, how is he going to respond? But Roch Cholowsky's on pace to be a number 1 overall pick. There are some reasons why to remind you. Multi-sport athlete, leadership mindset, mental resets. I forgot to tell you this, is that he would go out in the summer and go to the driving range as a mental reset to get away from everything. I've talked about that. Identity and separation, high standard, vision board, journaling. He's got the mental clarity of what he wants and probably the actions he's taking to get there. Didn't always have success. His freshman year, he struggled a little bit, hit 250 the first month and had 1 homer 3/4 way through the season. Ended up with 8, got on a tear, and consistent improvement. So stay with it. Who are you when nobody's watching? What values do you rely on every single day? And what is it that you want? Go write that down, and then we'll be able to get there with more clarity and start changing your behavior. That's going to help move the needle. That's going to hopefully help get you that next opportunity wherever it goes. Press subscribe right there. I would appreciate it. This is fun. I'm having a lot of fun with this. Let's keep tapping into more next time. Talk soon.